All right, so as told before, we will also discuss the business model canvas. The business model canvas is basically a nice management tool or a nice strategy determination tool that was created by Osterwalder and Pigneur. I already mentioned how they before created sort of the first comprehensive framework of what business models typically look like in science, and they turned it into also a strategizing tool. So here you can see a nice example of a business model canvas. This is the business model canvas for Nespresso, the coffee machines, including their cups. And in the middle you see the value proposition. So there it says, well, good coffee at home, or good coffee on location, I should probably say. Then you have your customer relationships, in this case the Nespresso Club, your distribution channels. So how are the coffee machines and the cups delivered to customers? It used to be that you had to buy these very exclusive bags from Bijenkorf and from Nespresso stores to get your cups. You also see that it comes, well, for two different customer segments, the coffee drinker in the office and the coffee drinker at home. Also the revenues, well, you see that the revenues are mainly made from cups and less from the machines. I don't think this surprises you. A cup was, back when I was a customer, about 29 or 39 cents. So pretty steep. Also quite clever from these companies that they can make money on something as basic as coffee. Because, yeah, how special is coffee? Apparently special enough to spend that kind of money on. So costs, well, marketing, obviously. You've all seen the commercials with grown-up men drinking coffee. And sometimes grown-up women. Factories, cups are also part of the costs. Well, strategic partners are the device manufacturers, probably also the coffee suppliers, but they're not mentioned here, so that also tells you something about that supply chain. And then, well, key activities, research and development, the customer loyalty program management, the factories, and what are the key resources? Well, of course, the name, the branding, but also, again, the factories and the logistical system. And all of that, well, you saw that I tried to make sort of a nice circle. So, well, the customer segment, of course, is, yeah, who are your customers? So for software companies, these are B2B or B2C customers. For Facebook, it's companies that want to advertise on their platform. And perhaps also some data analytics firms who are using the data from Facebook for all kinds of other goals. Well, I think one of the most interesting ones is the value proposition. My students in the last years have been especially weak at defining a value proposition. For me, a value proposition is really, well, how does the customer benefit from being a customer? It's really that simple. But for many people, they say, yeah, I give them an enhanced learning experience, or I give them faster cars. That's not a value proposition. So the value proposition should be something along the lines of, okay, why do I benefit as a customer by being a customer? So something along the lines of, okay, offers me transport solutions to get from A to B. Or, yeah, what's another one? Enjoying a nice cup of coffee on location. So these, the value propositions I see go badly most of the time. Well, then there are, of course, the channels. So the channels talk about how do you get your value proposition to your customers. And it mainly means the way in which you approach your customers, how do you gain them, but also how do you actually approach them with your product. In our field, that's, of course, usually the website or, well, a USB stick if you're a young company with very few customers. Now I will sneeze. Pardon. Yes, I'm still human. Also customer relationships. So this is exactly how do you establish and keep your relationships with your customers. So for instance, also for, let's say, an organization like Facebook, this is of course the website, but also the app. And yeah, they are, because they're having so many customers, they actually have the opportunity to optimize this all the time. And I'm not sure if you've noticed this, but in many apps where I press quit, I will actually quit the app, whereas in Facebook, if I press quit, it will just refresh my home screen. And these are, of course, very smart tricks to keep you engaged. Now, if your app is being used maybe 5 times a day, let's say you're a yellow brick parking app, then this kind of feature is not so important. But of course, for a company like Facebook, which is all about eyeballs, then having eyeballs on your app as long as possible, then that's where you want to optimize. Well, your revenue streams, this is of course where your money's coming from, and hopefully your revenue is in the end larger than your costs. Also your key resources. So key resources, I think, for if you're starting a business, are really essential. I think it's something that people often forget. I once wrote a piece for the Dutch Financial Times, the Financieel Dagblad, about what is your unfair advantage. And I think you should always be looking at this in whichever part of the world. So whether you are competing with others for a girl at a bar or a boy at a bar, then you need to be aware of your key resources. And when you're applying for a job, you also need to be aware of your key resources. And you probably also have some unfair advantages. Maybe your boss is also your uncle, or maybe you have some skills that nobody else has. Maybe you have a list of the company's competitors and their customers. So yeah, these are of course unfair advantages. So your key resources are exactly where your strengths are, and this is also where you should be focusing. Of course, key resources are also something that can get you into trouble, because if you're Philips Lighting and your key resources are of course factories and R&D, and all of a sudden nobody's interested in lighting anymore because nowadays LED lights are last forever. Yeah, then that can have quite some interesting effects for your business. I think in the end Philips sold off its lighting division. Well, then key activities. Well, what is it you do all day? Also very strongly linked to your key resources, of course. So if your key resources are factories, well, your key activities is maintaining those factories. And then your key partners. Also, again, key partners can be unfair advantage in and of itself. What's a nice example of that? I think there's uncountable examples of companies that partnered up with a particular company and then became very large very quickly. So I imagine, I remember with Ladyside, business that I've been running for the last decade. There we had the problem that we couldn't find associations, customers fast enough. So then we struck a deal with an organization that manages about 100 sports organizations. So within one day we went from 10 customers to 110 customers. So these kinds of partners are really essential sometimes. And then your cost structure, which key elements drive your cost, and then, well, finally here you can see the whole picture. So your channels, your revenues, your key resources, cost structure, key partners, key activities, value prop, customer relationships, and customer segments. So I hope this gives you a nice image. And in your spare time, I really recommend making a picture like this for an organization that you know well. For the university, it would be interesting, for instance. So here we have it for a startup from Utrecht. I can't quite remember, or I do remember, but I can't share all the details about it. But as you can see, they have a value prop that I already don't quite like. It says improved learning experience. Yeah, what does it mean? Effectively, what they do is they offer the best-in-class learning experience for music students. And there at the end, you also see customer segments, music students, and music teachers. So obviously, this this company is doing something with music. You see the revenue streams; those are fairly well defined. Customer relationships, get-togethers, mass customized, which I think. They also colored the different items on the business model canvas to give you an idea of some of their relevant business lines. So the green business lines are something else than the yellow business lines. I think the yellow business lines are to organize music teachers and music students together, whereas the green is only about the online experience of learning how to play guitar or something like this. And here you can also see the key activities: coding a platform, arranging your content, promoting the platform. So, well, you can obviously see there's many things here. I'm very interested in the fact that this, you can see this as a startup. How do I know this? Well, at the bottom you see platform hosting as a cost. Well, obviously this is not a big cost. Your videos are on YouTube, your website is with WordPress, so this platform hosting, what does it really mean? It's probably a couple of €100 per year at best. However, promotion, marketing, that should be about a third of your platform cost or of your business cost. So that's something that you should really be working on. All right, so I hope this gives a nice illustration. Here's another organization called Sell a Band. Sell a Band was basically the idea that bands are being unfairly treated in the music industry. Actually proved to be true. And Sell a Band tried to do create a website where you would have your own band platform, and from there you could sell your music, manage your own licenses, distribute your own music. basically make this whole self-publication possible. Um, I'm not sure why they failed. I can imagine something because I think Celiband, yeah, it's a nice idea, but the problem, of course, is how do you make sure that artists who aren't business people use the platform accordingly without, also the sitting music industry, of course, didn't like this platform at all. So I think they failed after a couple of years. Maybe nowadays there's still an opportunity for this. So, might be a nice startup for you. I know that Arjan Egges, a previous colleague of ours, actually started a platform that's similar to this. So, there may be many opportunities for that. So here you can see the template of the business model canvas. You can extract it from this PowerPoint on the product server website, but you can also probably download it just by doing a Google image search and fill it in whichever way you want. It's you see that there's some small text on it that's trying to explain, okay, how do you formulate all these things. Interestingly enough, scientists have really run with this canvas idea. So one of the things that you now have is also the platform canvas, which helps you think about, okay, how do I build a community? How do I build, for instance, an app development platform? And here you see the value proposition canvas. I already mentioned that, students are notoriously poor at defining value props. So I really recommend that you too start looking at these value propositions and start thinking, okay, how can I best define these and how can I best extract these from the information I have about a company. So this is something I'll also be looking for in your practical part, that you really think about, okay, how do what are the gains for the customer, what are the pain relievers for the customer, what are their pains and gains, what's their job, what is it you offer, to really think about this formulation of this. And I'd much rather see a lengthy value prop that sounds attractive to me, that makes me think, okay, this is a comprehensive view of what this company is offering, let's take Apple for an example. I think a poor value prop will be supplies hardware or something, or supply the best of breed hardware. Whereas Apple is much more. Apple is basically for the customer providing an excellent, seamless experience of dealing with their home IT or their personal IT situation, something along those lines. And that's probably a better value prop because it better sort of captures the essence of what Apple is all about. I'm recording this right now on an Apple device, I have to disclose. I think that sounds a little bit more like what these companies are actually concerned with, and also what the customer should then be concerned with. All right, so that's it for the business model canvas. Now we will go into some more business modeling techniques, but first there will be another small test to see whether you understood this lecture, yes or no. Okie dokie, and